Hello, dear students. This is Dr. Bindya Sharma, and I welcome you all to the video lecture series on the topic spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is the branch of science that deals with the evaluation of spectrum. Spectroscopy is the study of interaction of matter and electromagnetic radiation. It implies measuring the quantity of light absorbed by a compound as a function of the wavelength of light. The sample gets irradiated by the light source, and the quantity of the light transmitted at the different wavelengths is measured by the help of the detector. The sample remains undestroyed in the entire process. Here, when the transition occurs from a lower energy level to a higher energy level, the energy is absorbed and it is called as absorption spectroscopy. Whereas, if the transition takes place from the higher energy level to the lower energy level, it is called as emission spectroscopy. There are various applications of spectroscopy. As we know that all the atoms and molecules have their own individual unique spectrum, and for this reason, the spectroscopy can be used to identify unknown compounds and to study their structures. It is also used in astronomy and remote sensing for screening and modifying the structure of drugs, for measuring the molecular mass of the compounds. It has wide range of applications in the field of environmental study, medicine, scientific research, biomedical science, space exploration, and many more. So before studying spectroscopy, we should first understand about the electromagnetic radiation, EMR. The electromagnetic radiation possesses electric and magnetic field associated with them. Light is a form of energy having both particle and wave nature. Some properties of the light can be explained by treating light as a wave. For example, refraction, whereas the other properties such as absorption and emission can be described by treating light as the particle. The waves are characterized on the basis of their wavelength, frequency, velocity, and amplitude. Let's understand these terms. First, let's understand wavelength. It is the distance between the two adjacent crest and trough, and it is denoted by the symbol lambda. It is usually expressed in terms of angstrom unit. 1 angstrom unit is equal to 10 to the power minus 10 meter or 10 to the power minus 8 centimeter. It is also expressed in micrometer, millimicrometer, nanometer, or picometer. The next term is frequency, denoted by the symbol nu. It is the number of waves passing through a given point in a single second. The unit is cycles per second. 1 hertz is equal to 1 cycle per second. The next term is amplitude. It refers to the maximum amount of displacement of a particle from its rest position. It can be termed as the distance from rest to crest. Now, the next term is wave number, denoted by nu bar. It is nothing but the inverse of wavelength or the reciprocal of wavelength. That is, wave number nu bar is equal to 1 by lambda. These terms will be used in spectroscopy, so we need to know them. We need to know the relationship between these terms, and the relationship is E is equal to h nu. Or we can rewrite the equation as E is equal to hc by lambda, where E is the energy of a single photon of light, h is the Planck's constant, nu is the frequency in hertz, lambda is the wavelength, and c is the speed of light, expressed as 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. This is the electromagnetic radiation. So we can see here that this is having both magnetic and electric field. This is electric field and magnetic field which are perpendicular to each other. The wavelength and the frequency have inversely proportional relationship. Now let's understand the same terms, that is wavelength, frequency, by this diagram. This is crest and this is trough. What is wavelength? Wavelength is the distance between two crests or troughs. What is amplitude? The distance from rest to crest. And how is the wavelength related to the frequency? That is inversely proportional. If the number of waves or the wavelength is more, then what happens? If the wavelength is more, then the number of waves passing in a unit time will be less, and hence the frequency will be low. Whereas if the wavelength is low or wavelength is less, then what will happen? The more number of this waves will be again transmitted in a unit time, and hence the frequency will be termed as high. That means if the wavelength increases, the frequency decreases. All electromagnetic radiations have same velocity, that is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, but they differ in their wavelength and frequency. The electromagnetic radiation with long wavelength has a low frequency and vice versa. The entire range of electromagnetic wave is known as electromagnetic spectrum. This slide shows the electromagnetic spectrum. What is electromagnetic spectrum? The arrangement of different type of electromagnetic radiation in the order of increasing wavelength, or we can say that decreasing frequency, is called as electromagnetic spectrum. We can see here from this slide that if we travel from, or if we move from left to right, then we have arranged this electromagnetic spectrum in the increasing wavelength, or we can say that the frequency on moving from left to right decreases because wavelength is increasing. In the similar manner, if we move from right to left, what happens? We see the frequency is increasing, but the wavelength will be decreasing. Here, the visible spectrum is shown separately. The different colors in the spectrum corresponds to the wave of different wavelength or frequency. The visible spectrum ranges from 400 nanometers to 700 nanometer and VIBGYOR, the entire visible spectrum. The region above this visible, this is the visible portion, and the region above this visible portion here has UV spectrum, X radiations, and cosmic or gamma rays. Because this is above this visible spectrum, the ultraviolet radiations, the X radiations, or the gamma radiations, they are having high frequency and hence they are having high energy. You would have many times observed that it is advised to protect our skin by this harmful ultraviolet radiation. Why? Because they can penetrate deep inside our body. In the similar manner, you also know the use of X-rays. X-rays are used to detect any kind of fracture in the body because they can again penetrate deep inside our body. In the similar manner, the highest energy radiations are these cosmic rays or the gamma radiations, because they have got highest frequency and hence are highest energetic. They are used sometimes to detect even cancer cells. So if we move from or above this visible radiation, if we move from ultraviolet, X-rays and gamma rays, if we see these three radiations, we'll see that the most energetic radiation is gamma radiation. In the similar manner, below this visible region lies the radiations like infrared, microwave, radio waves. Radio waves has lowest frequency and hence are least energetic. They are used for TV and radio transmissions. And here, microwave are used for household cooking, on which our microwave is based. IR radiation, as we know, they have got a heating effect. So infrared radiation, microwave radiation and radio waves have low frequencies, whereas ultraviolet radiation, X-rays radiation and gamma radiations have high frequency and are more energetic. The same electromagnetic radiation is explained here. So visible spectrum We find the types of energy that are lower in frequency than visible light, that is IR, microwave and radio waves. But to the left of visible spectrum, we have seen ultraviolet radiation, X radiations and gamma radiations, which are harmful for our organisms because of their high frequency as well as the high energies. Now, moving to the atomic spectroscopy. Atomic spectroscopy is the study of electromagnetic radiation absorbed or emitted by the atom. White light, when passes through a prism, splits up into a series of color bands, which is called rainbow, given by the Vibgyor, Vibgyor. This phenomena is called dispersion, and a series of color bands which is known as the spectrum, or rather a continuous spectrum, is obtained. The same can be obtained if we use any other light radiation source. On the other hand, whenever the spectra of atom is obtained, we call it atomic spectra, and these atomic spectra are not continuous. They contain line or bands of specific frequencies, and they are of two types. First is atomic emission spectrum or atomic emission spectroscopy, the spectrum of frequencies of electromagnetic radiation which are emitted due to atom or molecule when the transition takes place from high energy state to low energy. Because when the electrons are transmitted from high energy state to low energy state, then they tend to emit the radiation. Therefore, it is named as atomic emission spectroscopy. For example, hydrogen spectrum you would have studied. So Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen series, you would remember. Atomic absorption spectroscopy is the second type of spectroscopy, which refers to the techniques that measure the absorption of radiation. Whenever the radiation of a particular frequency is absorbed by electron, it jumps from lower energy level to the higher energy level. We can see here the hydrogen spectrum, emission spectrum of hydrogen and the absorption spectrum of hydrogen. Now next is, let us study in detail these two spectrum. First we'll take emission spectrum. Emission spectrum are obtained when the radiations emitted can be analyzed using a spectroscope, that is when the atom returns from higher energy level to the lower energy level with the emission of radiation. The vapors of substances are heated and the colored light will be emitted depending upon the substance. For example, sodium, if we hit sodium, it gives us the yellow light. The spectrum obtained is composed of a well-defined sharp lines, each corresponding to a definite wavelength or frequency. The spectrum is known as the discontinuous spectrum. Each element possesses a unique spectrum regardless of its form. For example, sodium spectrum. Sodium spectrum is obtained at 589 nanometer and 589.6 nanometer always, irrespective of its source. Therefore, these spectrum are also considered as fingerprints of the atoms, and therefore they are used to identify and estimate the elements. Next is the absorption spectrum. When a continuous electromagnetic radiation is passed through the sample, then the transmitted light is analyzed and we get a spectra with dark lines which are visible. This spectra is known as the absorption spectrum. If a photon hits an atom and the energy of photon is same as the gap between the electron energy level in the atom, that is the electronic energy level in the atom, then the electron in the lower energy level will tend to absorb the photon and it will jump to the higher energy level. In this spectrum, we will see the absorption spectrum. The dark lines which are obtained corresponds to the frequency of light that is being absorbed by the compound. As the photons are absorbing the electrons, as the photons are absorbing the radiations, then they are moving from, or they are shifting from low to the high energy levels. So these lines are also the characteristic of substances. The lines in the absorption spectrum appear exactly at the same point or the same spot where the lines in the emission spectrum appears. Again, let us take the example of sodium lines. In the sodium lines, we have seen that the sodium spectrum was obtained at 589 nanometer and 589.6 nanometer in emission spectrum. And for absorption spectrum also, we will see the sodium lines appearing in the same wavelength. Why? Because both absorption and atomic absorption spectra and emission spectra can be used for spectroscopic techniques. Now, there is a law which governs the absorption, and this law is useful basically in the ultraviolet and visible spectroscopy. And the law named is Beer-Lambert's law. Beer-Lambert law combines the two laws which correlates the absorbance to both the concentration and thickness of the medium. In the year 1760, Lambert stated that when the light passes through any absorbing medium, then the rate of decrease in the intensity of the transmitted light decreases exponentially as the thickness of the medium increases arithmetically. The same Lambert law was again modified in the year 1852 by August Beer, which states that the intensity of incident light decreases exponentially not only with the thickness of the medium, but also with the concentration of the absorbing medium. Let us try to understand this law in more detail. First of all, when on combining Lambert-Beer law, the statement becomes when a monochromatic light is passed through a solution containing the absorbing substance, the decrease in the intensity of light with path length is proportional to the concentration of the solution and the intensity of light. See, here in the diagram, this is a cell containing any absorbing solution or our sample. Now, the concentration of the sample, let us say it is C, and the path length or simply the width of the cell or the cuvette, it is also known as cuvette. Let us say this is B. This is the radiation, incident radiation. It is denoted by I naught, and this is the transmitted radiation denoted by the symbol I. So whenever we are incidenting any monochromatic radiation means the light having single wavelength. Let us say blue light, red light. So whenever a monochromatic radiation is incident on any absorbing sample with a particular concentration and with a particular path length or the width, then what happens is some amount of light will be absorbed because the sample will tend to absorb some amount of radiation. Then whatever transmitted light we are getting, the intensity of this transmitted light, obviously it will be less as compared to the incident light. Why the incident light and the transmitted light intensity cannot be equal? It cannot be equal because the absorption of the light depends on how many molecules it interacts with. And the same is expressed by the Beer-Lambert law. Beer-Lambert law states that if the absorption taking place by the sample depends upon the concentration of the sample as well as the path length. How? If suppose, let us assume the concentration of the sample is low, or we are taking any dilute solution. So the light will not come or interact with more number of molecules, and hence the absorption will be less. But if we concentrate the solution, then what will happen? More number of molecule will be interacting with this radiation and they will be available to absorb this radiation. And hence the intensity will be decreased to a larger extent as compared to the dilute solution. In the similar manner, let us say that, or let us assume that this path length or the width of the cell is 1 centimeter. So how many molecules will be coming into contact? Let us say there are 10 molecules coming into contact with the light or are available to absorb this incident radiation I naught. But if we double the path length, let us say if we take it as 2 centimeter, then the number of molecules which are available or which will be absorbing this incident radiation I naught will be obviously more as compared to the 1 centimeter length of the cuvette. So accordingly, the intensity will tend to decrease. So this is being observed, and mathematically Beer-Lambert law is given as, so we can see here, decrease in the intensity or a small decrease in the intensity upon the thickness of the absorbing medium is directly proportional to the concentration and intensity. Again, let me repeat, the decrease in the intensity of light with the path length, the decrease in the intensity of light with the path length, decrease in the intensity of light, therefore we are using minus sign here. So a small decrease in the intensity of light with the path, a small path length, that is denoted by this dx, it is denoted by dx, says that it is directly proportional to the concentration of the absorbing medium and the intensity of the incident light. If we will remove this proportionality constant, we will be introducing a constant k here. So the equation becomes minus di upon dx is equal to k into c into I. What is k here? K is the proportionality constant. I is the intensity of incident light. C is the concentration. X is the thickness of the medium. And what is minus di by dx? A small change in intensity with the small thickness of the medium. If we will rearrange this equation, we will get minus di upon I is equal to k into c into dx. That is what we have done. We have simply brought this I in place of dx. Now we need to integrate the equation. Why we need to integrate the equation? Because presently we are considering a small change in the intensity, that is di, on passing through a small distance dx. But we need to know that what will be the change or the decrease in the intensity on passing through the entire length of the cell. Let's say from 0 to b. Now we will integrate it on both sides. And on applying the limits, when I is equal to I naught, when x is 0, and I is equal to I when x is b. So on integrating on left and the right hand side, we'll get minus integral of di by I is equal to k into c integral of dx, and integral of di by I is ln I and integral of dx is x. On substituting the values, we'll get the equation as minus ln I is equal to k into concentration into x. Now on further solving the limits, we'll get ln I minus ln I naught is equal to k into c b, b minus 0. That is, we are subtracting the limits. Now on further solving, we'll get minus of ln I upon I naught, because ln I minus ln I naught can also be written as ln I by I naught is equal to k into c into b. B minus 0 is b. If we want to change the sign, if we want to remove this minus sign, so this will be reversed. So we'll get here ln I upon I naught upon I is equal to k into c into b on removing the minus sign. Now next, if we want to change the or to convert ln to the log to the base 10, what we'll get? We'll get the equation as 2.303 log I naught upon I is equal to k into c into b, or log I naught upon I is equal to k into c into b divided by 2.303. What we have done here? We have brought this 2.303 on the right hand side. Now On further, if we want to substitute this entire log I naught upon I by another constant, like say absorbance, because we are calculating absorbance here. So what we can do here is we can introduce another symbol A, which is termed as absorbance, and whose value is equal to log I upon I naught upon I. And here, instead of this k, because it is constant, k is a constant and 2.303 also is a constant, so k upon 2.303 is again replaced by another symbol, that is epsilon, which is termed as molar absorptivity or extinction coefficient. And the value of this epsilon depend upon the lambda, that is the wavelength of incident radiation and nature of the absorbing material or the sample. And always we calculate lambda max. Its unit is mole inverse centimeter inverse. Absorbance has a logarithmic relationship to the transmittance. For example, an absorbance of 0 corresponds to the transmittance of 100%, and an absorbance of 1 corresponds to the 10% transmittance, and so on. The Beer-Lambert law states that there is a linear relationship between the concentration and absorbance of the solution, which can be seen here by these three graphs. Now let us see another term, that is transmittance. So we know what is absorbance. Absorbance is A is equal to log I naught upon I. What is I naught here? I naught is the intensity of incident radiation, and what is I here? I is the intensity of transmitted radiation. Now what is transmittance? We can say that the transmittance is inverse of absorption. Transmittance of a solution is defined as the ratio of transmitted intensity I over the incident intensity I naught, and mostly it is expressed in percentage transmittance. For example, let us say we are having the incident intensity 100% and we are passing it through a solution, and we are getting the transmitted intensity of 80%. So we can say that because 80% of the light is being transmitted, that means the absorption will be 100 minus 80, that is 20%. Or in other words, we can say that because 100% was the intensity of incident light and 20% is being absorbed, so the transmittance will be what? 80%. So when A is equal to log I naught upon I, the inverse of it becomes the transmittance. So the transmittance becomes I upon I naught. So here absorption and transmittance both are opposite to each other. Absorbance is the product of molar absorptivity, the concentration of the solution, and the optical path length. Transmittance is the ratio of intensity of transmitted light to that of the incident light. Or we can more generalize the entire equations. Absorbance is equal to log I naught upon I. If we can rewrite it as log I upon transmittance, or we can also write it as minus log T. Then we can also rewrite it as the equation, that is epsilon into concentration into path length. So this was Beer-Lambert law. There are few limitations to this Beer-Lambert law also, that absorbance is directly proportional to the concentration according to the Beer-Lambert law. But when experimentally it was observed, it was seen that this linear proportionality, that is absorbance, the relationship between absorbance and concentration, we get a straight line, but it is only up to a limit. But at high concentration, the curve tends to bend to a little. It is no more a straight or a linear line. It becomes non-linear. Thus, the law is suitable only for monochromatic light, and it is not suitable for high concentration. There are few reasons behind it. The reasons like scattering of light, phosphorescence, fluorescence, presence of some kind of unwanted light, or we call it a stray light, causes non-linearity to the Beer-Lambert law. The law fails at non-linearity and thus it is not applicable. Thank you, students. Hope you have understood the Beer-Lambert law, which is the basic principle involved in UV visible spectroscopy. Happy learning.